No. Thank you everyone for coming tonight. We're gonna talk about revenues tonight.
How many towns can say that?
No, I know.
I thought
That's
for
okay.
revenue tonight, or
It's
was
like
it
being-
get all
it's
the
like- It's
departments?
like being at home.
Allentown can.
You say revenues or all the
Yes,
departments first?
revenues.
Or all the,
We're gonna do the departments next Wednesday, because I asked Connie, Chris, Groner, and Brian to
Okay,
come for
okay.
that.
Town by
Okay.
2 mil.
Jimmy, make sure they have us lunch.
Well, and then we'll do city council,
That's the
clerk,
north
That's a
side
tough
of
one.
Allentown. That's where-
Controller.
I think Holmes came from there watching,
it was funny. I mean, I haven't seen you all day.
Roller's saving us.
Well, it was the first thing, you know, this morning you came rushing over.
I did? You were the save the date person, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, we talked last week about, we started with the real estate taxes, and just to go over that again, there's some handouts on page 14, 15, and 16 in the council handout book that shows the assessment, this year's assessment, and some prior year collections, and those are all the documents that we use to get to the math of where the $32 million comes from. So we take the assessment,
What
apply-
page?
14, 15, and 16 in the handout book.
But I don't know why we have this budget book. We used to hand out budget books. That's okay.
Well, that's the backup for everything. So,
But thank you. That's all good.
yeah. Then the next thing we talked about last week was the prior real estate tax collections, which is the tax lien sale that we're proposing as part of this budget. In a normal year, as you can see back line 3102, through the last few years, we normally collect about $2.8 million, but there is some extra money that's been hanging around for the last 10 years that we can sell those liens and get another $2 million. The next few lines, I guess that's where we gave the handout last week that showed the pie chart with the different collections and the rates on the,
This one?
yeah, that, on the resident and non-resident. I hope that gave everybody a little bit better understanding about the pie, meaning we're only gonna collect 1.6% of a wage earner's income, and how it's broken up has changed the last few years. Meaning just for residents themselves, in 2018, we all paid 1.18% of our earnings, 0.5% goes to the school district, 0.8% went to that pension special levy, and then 0.5% went to your income tax. Then the next year, 19, which is the current year, again, the pie moved up that year. We raised the resident income tax to 1.65, other side. Yeah. And just the math of it, since you can only go to 1.65, the special levy remained at 0.18, the school district still gets their 0.5. So this year, we were all paying 0.97 in our income tax rate. And next year, in 2020, which is the proposed budget, that's the bottom pie in both sides of the chart. We're going to charge 0.65 in the special levy. Whether you live in the city or not in the city, your school district gets 0.5, and then everybody, again, whether you live in the city or don't live in the city, your income tax rate is gonna be both, 0.5 both ways.
Now, everybody knows that that levy can only go to pension, right?
Correct.
Just
Oh,
so you know.
I'm sorry.
Huh?
Sorry for interrupting.
No, that's okay, I interrupted you.
No, that's what you're letting it be.
Yeah,
Yes.
cause that, you know, don't think it can go in the general budget. But, hey, Paul, the only problem I ever had with Berkheimer, you know, I disagree with them. Other towns are a little bit more proactive in how they approach that income tax, okay? I feel, and I think we got legal justification to collect off baseball players, Philharmonic members. He says no, but I think we can, because if we can tax college kids, okay, we do, who are working in the city of Pittsburgh or Allentown or Reading or anywhere in the Commonwealth, those kids have to pay the city of Erie income tax.
Yes.
So why can't we charge people
Don't you
that?
have to be a here like for 90 days though, Paul? Isn't there some
It's,
kind of?
there's a
And with-
dating,
Yeah,
yes.
with those minor league teams.
They're in and out.
Yeah, and the Otters don't get paid. They only get a stipend, so.
But you do know in Cleveland, Ohio, or Pittsburgh, PA, they do collect off these players, and they even collect off entertainers. But they're coming here for one-night gigs. So it's not that it hasn't been tried. I don't think we've ever looked into it. I don't think there's any
with the current
provision.
situation with the, and I mean, I'm gonna put my baseball hat back on, but with the current situation in which MLB is claiming that they need to cut all these teams because they need to increase the pay for minor leaguers. I mean,
Boy.
you know what the,
Yeah.
I mean, you may have a bonus baby here, but mostly you have people who are
Well,
not even making minimum wage.
Okay,
because of-
forget about them. Here's what I'm really aiming at. I'm aiming at contractors that are here for 90 days.
Ah,
Okay? We have people who have been working at Erie Insurance, God knows how long, I can't say it's the same ones, but we've never looked into it. You know, they are, you know, if we're gonna charge college kids who have a job at Starbucks in Pittsburgh, then what's the fairness in not charging people that are working here? It's a tax on the wage earned here.
You're not, if you're here, as Liz brought up, I mean, we had Bill Leonard in to talk about this. He,
Yeah, but he takes the easy way out like most people.
well,
Let's face it, Paul,
there is a, I mean,
less distraction, let's get
there
it
is a
done.
law, and the law says X amount of days, and, I mean, I can bring it down for everybody next week. I don't remember the exact amount of days, whether it's 30, 60, or 90, but in the case of the ball players, you know, when you're on a, when you're on a road trip.
Well, forget about the, well, I'm looking at construction people too.
Well,
You're
there-
mainly looking at, get the.
Kes, you
let's
might have
get- let's
a
be
very good point.
honest.
And
That's what we're
the,
looking at.
the federal building years
They're
ago
making
was
Yeah, they are.
a point well taken that they were here for a year or so. That's correct. But if I have somebody come up from Meadville to do a new garage in my backyard and they're in and out in 2 days, you know, that doesn't fall within the law or the rule that, the state legislators passed,
I'm
so.
gonna check into it, 'cause
Okay.
I don't,
And I'm,
how do you,
what?
I
mean,
may ask.
put it this way,
Cass,
even-
I'm not.
You
making
take out
fun,
a
because
building
I
permit?
I have often looked at Allentown too. I mean, despite the fact that, you know, Pavlovsky or whatever ended up getting caught up in his own,
Take it easy, Mel.
yeah. But could we look and see how other third-class cities do it?
Well,
See if
here's
they-
what should
right?
trigger
well,
a
then,
lot.
And put it this way, they had a lot of,
Each-
construction there, so.
Yes.
They did,
I'd be
yeah.
curious.
now again,
if-
bringing Bill Leonard back for what you're proposing is the thing to do, because each county has its own tax collector for income tax, LST tax, all those. And Berkheimer has about 75% of the state.
Because
So
I
if anybody
Yeah.
knows the answer to that
Well,
question,
I
he
had union
does.
guys come up to me complaining that the guys were coming in from out of town, not even paying the income tax, and
Mm-hmm.
they're working for 3 months up here, okay?
You're probably absolutely
And what
100%
should
correct.
trigger that is Mr. Zimmerman, when you get a building permit, wait a minute, when you take out, Flippy had a right idea years ago. When you took out a building permit,
Did you just say that?
yes, because he had a good idea that when you took out a building permit, that should trigger a number of things right below it, okay? It should automatically say, okay, somebody took out a building permit, okay, now that triggers plumbing, electric, it triggers income tax, anything else that falls in those, but we don't. We let a lot of money fall out, and it's just, yeah, you know, we.
Well,
those
let's raise
days are
those
done.
fees.
Huh?
Let's raise those
Not
fees.
raise
They're
the
only
fees,
good
collect
if
the
you
fees
collect
and-
them, though.
Yeah.
It's only good if you collect them. You have to collect them and make,
Well,
you know,
like we were talking about the license fee. How long has that been
Which
unchanged?
I went to the ordinance book today and wrote them all down. Said, you tell me which one and I'll tell you what year. It's dog
Building.
licenses, 2003. Vendor licenses, 2019, David Rocco updated those. Amusement licenses, 2003. Engineering, electrical, and plumbing licenses, the last time the fee was updated was 2004. But last summer, remember, by council, we changed the ordinance for the licensing process. So they looked at that time. bandwagon and special event permits, David changes those as needed. Those aren't actually by ordinance. He just rents out like the bandwagon and that. Building, demo, and moving permits, again, we looked at that this year. Curb cuts, we did the curb cuts last year, we raised those 5%. Electrical inspections and permits, 2005. Fence, furnace, and sign permits as part of the other, we updated that licensing and that fee schedule this year.
For professional licensing?
No, just the fence, furnace, and sign, the permit to get those things. Plumbing inspections, we updated that this year. Rental licenses, we updated that this year.
How about
Can
professional
we get a
licensing?
copy of that?
I wrote it in my book.
Well, can we get a copy of that, you know, maybe by our
I can write them
you
down.
don't mind?
How about,
And we could get the actual, like, prices for them, because some of them are flat rates, right?
Yeah, those are all in the ordinance
how
book.
about professional?
That's where I went to get those things.
That's fine. Can we get a copy?
Save us some work, Paul.
Okay,
How about a professional license? What was that one? You know, like plumbers and.
I know, we passed all those over.
plumbing
one time or
inspections,
another.
2009,
I mean,
the
no,
inspection.
Not inspections, if you come in to get a license
The
to do business.
fee, the last time the fee was updated was 2004, but we changed the license and the licensing process this past year.
For plumbers, they had to get a license.
Correct, yes,
When was that changed?
this year. The fee for the license has not been changed since '04.
But for you to get a, what they call a right to do business in the city.
Yes. Zoning fees, 2019. Towing fees, remember we all worked on that all spring. That was back in April and May. And parking fines was 2018. Amusement tax, I think that's the last one I have, is 2007.
Earlier, 03.
I think it was,
No, dog license, amusement licenses,
Okay.
different than an amusement fee.
Okay.
The amusement fee is that 3% on your ticket. The amusement license is the dollar amount on
the gaming. machine?
anybody that still has machines in their, bar, restaurant, tavern.
Can we, dog licenses, what do we get? We get like if there's a rate if you live in the county and a different fee if you live in the city, we get, is it $1 per license
Yes,
or
there's a
whatever?
fee schedule for that, yes.
And, but you can't do it online, right? I mean, or can you do it online, then you have to come down and, or you get the thing mailed to you, or what, how does it work if you have to get a dog license?
The process of putting it
Yeah,
online,
city
but I don't
grows.
know if it's done yet.
Are
It's a-
there like lifetime licenses?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if the
that's what I
dog
thought.
gets the chip.
Yeah, okay.
Lifetime.
I just don't know that we would wanna make it, like, it's already more expensive by $1 to have a dog in the city, and I don't know if we wanna make it even more expensive, you know,
No,
especially because we really wanna, I mean, I think to me it's a safety issue too. We wanna make sure people get their dogs licensed, and that we don't have, you know, in case of dog bites or something, and strays, yeah.
That is an R. Definitely won't be our cash cow.
That's a good one. Dog licenses won't be our cash cow.
Since we're talking about fees, I know it's not, this isn't, building permit-esque type fees, but we talked when the fire chiefs were here about inspection, like charging for those inspections in college dorms and those things, and I know that the chief was talking about getting a list and doing some homework, and I know positions changed, and, you know, the updated chief and assistant chief. Can we do, well, we can't. Do we, what would be the process for us to look at those? So, again, I'm thinking, just the one thing off my head is college dorms or college buildings that we have to inspect and we don't charge for those. Is there some, maybe not prerequisite, but is there some, example of, in the Commonwealth third-class cities
You
that
know,
are doing that?
remembering on page 90 of the handout book, we go through all the other third-class cities to write down the fees or just the different things other people are charging for. You know, Reading, they have a fire prevention permit. I don't know what that is. We have the backup for all that stuff upstairs. You know, Reading also has a public library fee, which is not part of our.
Some of that stuff was done years ago.
Yeah, so,
What about, should we have a fee for fireworks stuff? Because remember, that was one of the things the chief
Yeah, David said,
recommended. He
David
said that,
suggested
and it should be based on actual,
that. Actual cost of rolling out a fire truck.
yeah. I mean,
Whatever they think it takes for staffing and a truck.
Yeah.
yeah.
And we
But
talked
Curtis, to
about,
answer your
we talked
question,
about
I mean, the
easements
chief
too,
is gonna
remember?
look into that,
Yes.
I'll get you
Yes.
a list of definitions on what, you know, Bethlehem, I remember they always charged a university fee. And I'm remiss in not being able to come and tell you what that
Well, you know what?
university
Why don't
fee
you-
is.
Paul, why don't you put together some in the Lehigh Valley, and I will, on my next trip, I'll check with them.
But here's my thing, and, cause they say they can't hear us. We talked about it a week or so ago, however long, our first session, or a couple sessions ago. And if we're not careful, we'll be having the same conversation this time next year, because we gotta keep looking into it. So, I mean, I think I know we don't charge it, we know we don't charge it. If we can have a consensus on.
Which one do you wanna
say,
charge?
yeah, and again, we can identify, I'm stuck on the fire because that is a very labor, in my opinion, and I've never done it, but I'd imagine labor intensive, the amount of inspections, the amount of classrooms, or excuse me, dormitories and spaces are significant. We have Mercyhurst, we have Gannon right downtown with us, and they are growing. And as they grow, the responsibility for our fire inspectors and staff to make sure that they're up to code and up to where they need to be is growing, but we're getting nothing financially for them. You know what I mean? And so I would like to see something that we can approve to add to this budget. You know what I mean? To some kind of a fee to add while we're deliberating on this 2020 budget.
Oh, yeah, and didn't we also talk about, I see the first responders fee on here for, on that list. Only Bethlehem, am I right? Is that going across there? Only Bethlehem has that? On page 90. Okay, let's make, all right, let's make a list. Let's go
Lisa
back.
just told me that university fee is for police protection on campus.
I
Oh,
think
and,
they have an office on campus.
okay.
Yeah.
And they have agreements with us to help. I mean, Mercyhurst and Gann, don't they help patrol and stuff?
Yeah.
I think we
It's a
should,
reciprocal thing.
we should go through all the fees and as council, pick which one we want to see go up.
But also whether there's any new ones, and so,
You wanna do that right after we go through the
well,
page
sure,
here?
at least we should make a list of them, so we don't forget.
I mean, you
So-
wanna go through the thing here and then
Yeah,
tackle it?
but I
before
mean,
we
the
do-
new ones, before you forget, so you
But-
said, who said easements? You said easements?
Easement, yeah.
And we said fireworks?
It'd be nice to get some of these through,
You said easement,
I guess,
fireworks?
first year.
Did you say a new one too? Did you have a new one?
And I
What
said
did you say, Chris?
inspecting college dormitories or college facilities.
Which, the fire inspectors do that, but don't those, who inspects the ones, I guess, like Mercier's dorms, Gannon
Hey
dorms?
Liz, we
As far as I
also
knew, they do.
talked
They do.
about
Fire
false,
inspector, yeah.
false alarms.
Yes, yeah, you're right, false
So,
alarms.
I mean, the other rental properties for the Gannon kids or whatever, those are inspected
by the rental program. There's a cost to this too.
Right. but
I
then-
don't know what the cost
Know what it costs
to doing these inspections.
that's what I'm saying, and we don't
So
get
we should
anything. for it.
recover it.
Yeah.
Right, and I mean,
We're gonna do it whether,
if the fire department does this, the one thing we always have to remember is this number in this book of the average cost of a fireman being $180,000.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a true number.
but aren't they doing it
So-
now? Aren't they doing
They're
the,
doing some of these things, not all of these things.
they're not inspecting dorms?
I can't answer that question. That I don't know. I don't know that
They said they
answer.
were. The chief
Did-
told- they said that they were doing
Guys
inspections.
goes,
on-
okay.
So basically, that number's already in there.
Then that number's already in there, if that's true.
And we're
Yeah.
recouping for work. It's saying someone mentioned about the fireworks. If we're sending out
Trucks,
firefighters in a
yes.
truck, there's a cost that goes to that. That
Absolutely.
person's 3 hours of his and her time and whatever we assign to the value of the truck moving out of the station, there's a value to that. Like the Erie School District, if you rent their facilities, you have to pay X amount an hour.
And we
It
did do
speaks.
that before. We
That's
got
right.
smart though.
And there's a fee that goes to that. You know, they have to have someone in the building when a non-school day event or a non-school
You gotta
district event's
pay-
going on.
You gotta
and
pay at least
for
one
it.
janitor
One janitor.
or one boilermaker.
Yeah,
Yep.
someone has to be there to pay, and you pay for that,
And we-
$40 an hour.
We also talked about fire drills.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like when they have fire drills for school and stuff, maybe having, maybe one of the firemen go there to make sure it's being done, cause anybody can say and write on paper they did it, but we don't know. You
Well,
know?
also there, we had an office up in the Renaissance, once a year they have a fire drill. We get about three units, and they come in, and they go from the top down and make sure everyone's out of there. That took us about 3 hours.
Charge for that.
I don't know if they got paid for it or not. It took about 3 hours, 8 guys.
Well, with first responders too, isn't that what the chief talked about? Because we don't see, insurance reimbursement? And I think Mill Creek does, correct? Anybody know?
Some insurance companies will give money and some will not.
Do we seek it though?
No, we do not.
We did a study though.
Yes.
That came out, and it was, I think it was at one point, some years ago now, but it was like cost prohibitive, or depending on the insurance, it was like, some did, some didn't, and the work to try to get what it was worth, wasn't worth it?
No,
For the,
correct.
for the first responders at that time?
Yes.
I remember that clearly. I don't know if it's changed now, but I think even though that's more challenging, some of these are low-lying fruit, I think, because we're doing the inspections. Like, we're doing fire inspections for nonprofits or colleges or universities or whatever. If we're providing a service that we're not being paid for, we have to know that as a city. We should get something for that. And every dollar, if, I don't care if it's $25 a room or something, or $20 a room, it's really low numbers, but it's more than what we're getting because we're having men and women do work that we're paying for. And here's the thing, these universities are taxing these, well, it's probably a bad word in this section, are charging these students for safe environments, you know, up to code, up to enforcement, environments that they're not paying for themselves. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's part of the selling point, like Gannon, and we have safe, and we're right downtown, and the city fire, well, you're not paying for that, but we're providing for that. I don't wanna beat the dead horse, but I think, I'm really stuck on that one in particular, and I'm sure there's others. Even if we can't make up even though we maybe wanna look at prerequisites around, or, examples around the Commonwealth of how to raise fees, there are some fees that we don't charge, things we don't charge for, we need to start charging for, period. I think that's just some personal.
Like with easements, everything I looked at other cities, the reason you charge for it is because we're verifying, sending somebody out to make sure that they have their liability insurance, to make sure that they aren't blocking pedestrian or handicap access. So, but if we do it, we need to do it at the beginning of the year so businesses know. And plus I mean, they don't own that property, that's the public's property, really. So,
And
it can be
there-
reasonable for a first license, and then the renewal can be, very reasonable.
Hey, try selling liquor without going through the LCB on the sidewalk. They're gonna charge you, the state.
I just saw, by the way, that big bar, did you see that ad in the paper yesterday? That they'll deliver beer, just in case anybody wants to know.
What's the number?
It's like, they'll, only up to 2 6-packs.
Well, but I mean, like, again, if we're providing a service that we're not being paid for, whether it's the easements, and X company or business comes 6 feet out of their building structure proper, and they're expanding their revenue generating possibilities, they should pay for that. That's just, to me, that's just some,
I still think that, and I brought it up time and time again, $100 fee if I wanna park in front of my house.
Oh, yeah, that,
Pay for that, and I'll park there, create a sticker to put on the back of the, rear view mirror.
I had a lady
Somebody's
that,
complained and the officer come by, look, supposed to be there.
I had a lady that liked your idea, called me today. she has a problem. Nobody, she lives in an area like you and I live, where everybody has a driveway, but they still block her. And she said, you know, we either need to enforce, change it to odd even parking like everybody else in the city has. She said, or sell me my place. She said, but you know, I can't get out, she goes, you know. So I mean, you know, Park Authority said they can't do it. You get a little sticker like they got in Pittsburgh. You got the hand scanners.
You can do just about anything you wanna do.
Yep, in fact, what you do is you make it, so they have to buy the sign that we put up. They have to cover the cost of the sign.
Nothing.
Speaking of parking authority, did we get a number or any,
The parking authority has made an agreement with the mayor in principle. They haven't got a chance, Christopher Friday, the mayor spoke, they haven't got a chance, he hadn't got a chance to talk to his board in full, so,
we're just keeping it?
yeah,
wraps?
yes. I mean, I think it was in the paper and on TV.
No figure
No,
though.
not a.
No, no figures.
I
I
would
guess
say
where does it
this,
fit in with the budget with?
That
what we
fits
have?
in on line 3751.
Okay,
Which is the first page of the revenues, it's the second to the last line of the first grouping.
I wanna thank the mayor though, this time, for not releasing it to the press before we've seen it. That's usually not the case, that,
Where is it, Paul? What-
37, right here, second, that first, yeah, page, it's,
Yeah, give us a page. That'll-
Yeah,
I can tell you this, I haven't been at the meeting with the mayor. In the gist, they want to,
Page 12.
I'm on page
It's
12.
up on the.
well, remember,
screen
we
here.
did that, we revised,
3751.
when we, it's page 1 of the sheets, the pieces of paper, that when we.
Oh, the revised
Right,
revenue?
when we changed the pension and the income taxes and all that, at that point in time, the mayor said, we're gonna get that money from the parking authority. So if you're on page 1 of that sheet, it's the second to the last line item, and we've budgeted $755,000.
the gist of the meeting was, and the mayor put up a good battle, he and I both, they resisted. What they want to do is readdress how we reimburse them for collecting parking tickets. That's $100,000, I believe it is. So they want to renegotiate all that. I would tell council, I might not be around when it gets to that point. I would tell you, be very cautious what you negotiate. Because over the years, we used to get revenue from the parking meters. We don't get that no more. So, I mean, we gave that up over the years. I'll do it for free, you know, I'm so hot about this.
that is what I wondered about though, since they talked about then doing, not raising the parking meter fees, but doing enforcement, it's gonna be till 9 PM instead of just till 6 PM on Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
So who absorbs those additional costs for?
Well, they're saying.
Do they?
See,
And
what they're
then-
saying is if you look at history,
Should be us.
way back when the Park Authority was formed, they came out of a bad incident at City Hall. And they were formed to do two things.
Issue debt.
To issue tickets because the police department at that time, and they still don't have time to go around and, we used to have a traffic department with guys with white hats. Do you remember them? Years ago.
Okay.
Their job was to ticket cars around the streets. That's gone. We don't have enough manpower or woman power, whatever you wanna call it, to go out there and ticket anymore. So the park authority was given that, along with the concept of building parking ramps and structures. The city got out of that. Well, now, when you listen to this new guy, all of a sudden, he's not happy with the reimbursement we give him. And, over the years, there were reasons why the reimbursement changed. They never got the parking revenue from the street meters. Now they do. That was supposed to take care of what the city reimbursed them to collect those meters. So, I mean, just be cautious when you deal with them, that, you know what you're getting into.
Okay, but I'm just asking though, if you have to have people
Obviously,
giving parking tickets.
They pay for that.
From 6 to 9, that's not us, right?
No, that's part
We're
of their
not
budget.
paying overtime.
No, they pay for those,
but they want us to
pay for
pay
those
though.
people.
But they want us to pay.
And then my next question though is, but if somebody doesn't pay their ticket, get them for not paying their ticket, for not paying their metered parking too, correct?
Didn't they even say they
No.
wanted,
We take payment for parking tickets.
didn't
That's
they
the
even
way it
say
works
they
right
wanted
now.
some of that money too, right?
Well,
They hinted
here's
at
the issue. There have been so many different things that happened over the years where they were trying to even out, well, we'll give you this money,
Yeah.
you give us that money, and it's a mess right now.
That's
So the
confusing.
idea is to just look at it in totality as a system and figure out what's fair.
Well, you're right,
So we're
'cause-
gonna begin doing that and to see what makes sense.
See, years ago, when they gave them they did a favor for us.
Yeah.
Okay, when they did that favor, they took out the mall. They paid for the cost of removal. Remember?
Transit.
Yeah. So we didn't have the money, they did it. So what we did was, I remember this, they gave them Saturday enforcement. And they also gave them, they started getting a share of the parking revenue from the meters. And so then they counterbalanced that by stopping the subsidies. So now,
Right.
it probably is time to, but I'm just saying, whoever is on that committee, to make sure that you know what you're getting into.
They also need to weigh the costs and benefits of extending enforcement.
Right, yes.
Because they were just saying that could be an option, but they haven't really studied it to see if it makes sense.
Right.
Are they gonna bring in enough money to put on
X number to
parking,
park,
meter
to
attendance
ticket for
to
3
stay?
hours, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It may not even pay for itself to do that.
Well,
So
we
they
only
need to
kept,
look at that.
the public never knew this, we only kept one person on after 6 o'clock. Or after like 4:30, and they could pretty much, like, if you had a ball game, or let's say a hockey game, you could make one sweep,
Yeah,
okay? That's all you need, one sweep. That would be it, that's not a big, big
Yeah.
huge cost. Now, if they wanna do,
You
park-
get people paying into the meters.
right, right.
hey, that's
Which
all
goes
you
to
have
the
to say.
parking authority and all that.
Because right now, Jim, right now, if you go to a hockey game,
Right.
or basketball, or a concert,
It's easy.
if you get on the street,
It's
you're
like it's
free.
easier than
If somebody else has to park, technically, in the lots, it's 24/7, but the ramps are a whole different thing. So, they collect all night. So they're saying, and they're right, that we're dropping a lot of coin by not enforcing it a little later in the night.
So Renee, you'll tell us how everything works out.
Yeah. Both sides are gonna start looking at what makes sense moving forward, and then we'll reconvene.
But for starters, they are going
We have an
to
agreement.
give us a lump sum and
Okay,
Oh, they
then,
are giving
Okay.
a lump sum to start?
I say,
then,
The lump sum that we have, I'm sorry, I just wanna go back to, what lump sum that we have budgeted?
That hasn't been announced yet,
Okay,
because we don't have it in writing yet,
They haven't met
It
their,
needs to
they haven't
meet
met
with
their
this
board
board.
yet either.
and get it in writing before.
okay.
so then the permits and the licenses, I will get you copies of all those ordinance pages, and then you can see where the dollars are.
Okay,
But if you
where
go
the
to-
dollars are and how long it's been since something's been adjusted.
So on
or
page
changed.
23 of the handout book, you'll see that there's a list of the dog licensing vendors, the amusements, and this one, that one, and the other, how many we've collected over the last few years.
These are the
What
actual
page,
raw
Jim?
numbers of permits.
Page 23.
23 in the handout book.
So our bandwagon, especially event permits, are at an all-time high?
Yes.
You think you said that, tell me again what Dave Rocco does, I mean, and because this is something that we have people, first of all, I think one thing that would be helpful to have, if he can provide it, remember we had people complaining when we raised the license, whatever, what did we
Food vendor?
raise?
Food
Yes,
vendor?
we're gonna have a problem with wild rib and whatever. But apparently we didn't, because now we have more, but it would be good if we could have him drill down a little bit more into knowing, special event permits. That's a really good sign, I think, to go to that many from, don't you think?
Getting back to
But, yeah, but the thing I was gonna ask is, then because we still have people, I mean, it's okay to have that in Dave Rocco's head, but that's like institutional wisdom, and I think we should really have it somewhere so we know how much it costs. And I know, because I remember the one guy from Hippie Vapor or whatever his name was, came up and said he wanted to compare us to Austin, Texas. Wow. And then I looked at Austin, Texas, and was like, oh my God, do you know how much? No, Austin, Texas is actually doing it right and charging by the number of people that you're gonna have. So Renee, if it's possible, I think it would be really good if, before the end of the year, if we could look at that and just say, is there a way, should those be scalable, or should they be, you have more people, you're gonna pay more, and tiers, thank you. And that's what I said, Austin has this tier system, and I looked at it, and it was broken down to cost per police officer, which kind of would get me back to the whole political rally, but we don't have to talk about that now. But if you look at the Austin City website, I just was like, this is so easy to figure out how much you're gonna be spending up front. And I just think that the fact that we have more events is a really good sign, and you don't wanna discourage those events, but, let people know how much it would cost. Again, not because we're trying to like nickel and dime everybody, but because there's a cost to us when that happens.
There is a list that shows what each thing costs and who has used it, so
Okay.
we'll get you that.
That would be good to have.
Okay, so then the numbers showing number of permits and licenses. The budget this year, we used historical data to figure out what would be the proper number to budget. The next grouping is your franchise revenue, which is the cable TV franchise.
So where, are we in this or this now?
Either one, on page 12 of your budget book or the handout sheet, the first page of the handout sheet. Cable TV franchise, we get on a quarterly basis. We get on a quarterly basis based on the number of subscriptions and the different types of usage those subscribers have. And that was a
You're
contract.
predicting it's gonna go up a little?
Pardon me?
You're predicting it's going up a little bit?
Yes, it's
Why?
actually been going up usage, because they're charging more, so we get a bigger percentage.
Oh, okay, 'cause I
And
know their
people are-
customers are
People are
going down.
renting more, people are
Customers
renting
are
more
going down.
movies, people are doing more things. The Cablevision, I don't know if everybody's noticed, but my cable bill it's not going down.
No, the customers
So-
are, but not the,
Not that much as you think, because a lot of people have gone to Dish and moved back. At least from the numbers,
Lot of-
from the numbers we've seen.
a lot of people are cutting them both off,
Well-
streaming.
Yeah,
So you're confident in that number,
yes.
forecast?
We'll tell next year. We'll see if they hit it on the mark. I would caution with that cable, cause that's getting to be
Put it this way though,
I'm not gonna dispute it.
8-10
I'm
year to
having mine
date,
cut off.
you still have 2 more months, that's gonna be close to,
810 divided by, they give us that in a quarterly basis, so 810 divided by 3 times 4.
we're gonna hit that.
Yeah. And we hit it last year too. So,
No, long range, I don't look at it.
they're allowed to charge more.
That's gonna be a fee.
Okay, next,
Okay, I'm sorry, back to cable. Actually, we're one of the ones that also switched from Dish back to cable.
There
But
you-
does that cost then get passed on to the customer, do you think? Is
Yeah,
that-
you
I mean,
pay-
is it kind of a
you pay the
chicken and
franchise.
egg,
You pay the franchise fee on your bill.
yeah,
Just
okay.
look at it, you'll see it.
Okay. But
It's
is
right
that one
under
of the
it.
reasons it's been going up so much, or don't you think? I don't know.
Well,
no, there's a contract that they're not allowed to just charge whatever they want.
Okay.
I mean, they're,
But yeah, next time you get your bill, it's on there, it says franchise fee payable to the city of Erie, we're even listed on there.
Okay.
If you have a complaint, you have to contact City Hall.
the next grouping are the grants we receive, the PennDOT grant, which is the grant we receive every year for snow plowing, environmental resource grant, auto theft grant, public utility grant, alcoholic beverage grant, and the state aid from the state aid pension, and the county liquid fuels reimbursement. And we just used historical numbers based on what we've normally collected for those things to budget that. that. Pilots, the next grouping, we gave the list of the contractual pilots, that's on page 17 of your budget handout book.
Do we have anybody actively, Joe won, had Fred doing that. Do we have anybody actively going after pilots?
Trying to negotiate
No,
anything?
not yet, no.
You plan on it? Joe one had one doing it, it was Fred Rush,
Okay.
and that was his job to try to convince him. But, I mean, people ask me all the time on the street, it irritates them that Gannon gives us about 100,000 a year. Okay, Mercer's gives us nothing guaranteed.
Wow. Part of
Well,
that
they do
could,
give us a
part
lot.
of that negotiation could be those, dorm inspections that,
Well, it could be, yeah, but I mean, right now, we get
That's
a
just
big donut
standalone.
from them.
That's just standalone.
Because they
Service.
don't, they're
I
not
agree
on
with
for
that.
a pilot, but they give us a lot.
Because when we say pilot too, pilot is like, for the definition of what we, in this book, is an agreed upon.
Yeah, right, there's a contract,
contractual thing.
a written
Although
contract.
there's other groups that give stuff periodically, they're not technically a pilot.
Yeah, Gannon gives us like 100,000 a year. I was looking at that pretty,
Housing authority of pilot?
Formal.
Kaz, when Fred Rush
Housing
did it,
authority of pilot?
was it just like one-on-one? Or, to me, the best thing I ever read about pilots is that you send something to everybody and say, this is what your tax bill would be. Here's what you could do by paying us 50% and make it sort of nice and you better do this
yeah,
kind
I
of
don't know
thing.
what Fred did, I know he made personal contact, cause he knew a lot of the people, the presidents and all that. I don't know whether he picked a certain amount of them, but.
Or the highest, the highest who aren't paying, maybe? I mean,
Probably, well, I mean, you can pick out the biggies right away, but.
yeah.
But I like your idea that, this is why I told the mayor's office, let's put the list of people that give to us, put it on our internet, put it out here in City Hall. And, give them some public affirmation that they do it, and maybe we'll get more,
What-
yeah.
I
Kat-
think it needs to be done even more, I'm sorry, Paul.
No.
I really think that, we should do, like Liz mentioned, everyone should be held accountable for something. It's so very wonderful that St. John's Evangelical Lutheran Church and, the Covenant Church, Church of the Covenant can do it. Why can't other churches do it?
Yeah, you're right.
I think because a nonprofit church or other does not have to, we have to have a person or a strategy to make them see that they're giving something is beneficial. You know what I mean? Like, you have to sell them to do it. You know what I mean? And so I think it takes personal relationship and consistent or constant interaction to say, hey, you have to sell it. You know what I mean? You can't haphazardly do that. A lot of these nonprofits, I think, know it would be good for them to participate in the pilot because we don't want to challenge our nonprofit status. And, there's a whole lot of
Plus they
that
aren't making
as
money.
well, because they're,
Well, then
you know
I
what I
guess
mean,
let's
so-
go to page 18, the very next page, after the groups that have the pilots. We showed this last year too. This is the tax exempt organizations that have properties in the city. And I mean, just going down the list, Gannon does not have a pilot, but they do give us money. And the school district, the county, governmental agencies where, we can't really get any money from them. UPMC has a pilot. Erie County Convention Center, the Housing Authority next, they give us that contribution every year.
Pretty good one, though.
Yeah, $150,000 every year in December from money they have left over. Mercier's does a bunch of stuff for us. The sewer authority.
But we don't know that, Paul. I mean, we're looking at raw numbers. Here, I'll give you an example. Candy gives us 100,000. Their tax bill is 867.
That's
They
correct.
better give us a lot of 700,000, okay? Or get close to that to be relevant, okay? We don't know what they're giving because all we do is we hear about it. It'd be nice to know what they give. Put a dollar value on there so we
And the
know.
thing is, they just acquired more property. They
Sure.
took the LECOM,
On this list or?
they knocked down
Yeah.
the old Presbyterian chancery or whatever it was. And now they acquired the LECOM Erie Center on Health and Aging, so they keep acquiring stuff and.
Oh, yeah.
And I know Gannon's doing some significant remodeling in some of their old buildings, like they're doing, I think I forget what the technical term is, but, anti-terrorism
Oh, the IHAC.
program.
Oh,
over
then
there.
that
So
big
they're gonna
tower.
redo that whole building.
That big tower.
That should be some significant construction coming from them as well.
And
You know what I mean? So-
actually, their plan is to condo part of that, so what happens with that? You know, the old Gentel building, or, you know,
Oh,
the old Verizon building?
Verizon,
Their
GT.
plan is that they're gonna rent part of it out to companies that are
Like an
involved.
incubator?
Yeah, involved in cybersecurity, so technically,
It's a business.
yes.
Now we're into the copy culture. Where half the building is taxable and half isn't.
They're protecting you. They training people to protect you. You don't want Al-Qaeda eating turkey, do you?
Al-Qaeda's
No,
already
but I mean,
here.
their plan is to take,
They're
is to
already
get
here. What are you
revenue,
talking about?
so.
We know where they are.
We need to,
Just joking.
so
why
that,
don't we hire one of those, new startup companies, like City Grows, to come in and look at some of these things and say, is City Grow still doing stuff for us, for us, or?
All about money,
Pay
Paul.
5,000 a year, I think is what we pay the city grows, we pay them 5,000.
I mean, what City Grows wants to do is to grow in other municipalities, so are there any problems we can present to them where they can say, yeah, we can tackle that, we can get the data, and then we can prove to other cities that here's revenue sources? I mean, I would think that, what's her name, Kathy, who runs it, would be good, I mean, she would do a, you know, she's in California, but she would do a FaceTime or a video conference with us to let us know what else is happening with City Girls. I think we ought to take advantage of initiatives that they have, where they would still give it to us, you know, lowball it, but then say, you know what, this is what we found for the city of Erie. If you hire us in your municipality, we're gonna save you XX and whatever. She's really smart, and I think might be interested in, you know, seeing this as another business-winning proposition for her. Whatever her name is, Kathy, I think it's with G or something?
Generakis.
Yeah.
But what would we want them
Well,
to
I'm
do?
saying that maybe, you know, they're looking and saying, you condoize a building, and how do you, you know,
Like,
get,
he's saying the
yeah.
Verizon building.
Yeah, how do you
If
get?
you're gonna have half students in there and actually have some business people in there, they should at least be paying the taxes on those business entities that are in the building.
Yeah,
That's a
and-
copy
And that might be a
qualification.
really, really specific example, but I think,
Do a copy.
I just think if we talk to her, she might have some revenue generating ideas
We're
that
not the
can come
only
from
one that
data.
has that.
Yeah, anyhow, I talked to her a couple of years ago, and I just was, and she comes to Erie once or twice a year, she's just smart and sees a lot of neat things, so.
And that's why you can't buy a cup of coffee at the Gannon, Antlers unless you're an alumni.
Can you buy beer?
Can't even go in there, cause if they do that, then they have to start paying taxes. Coffee culture, that's a coffee culture case.
the service fees, which are the zoning fees, real estate admin fee, towing fee, and two of those I've mentioned already, we looked at in 2019. The costs, which are your costs for safety reports and insurance reports, those type of things, and then the new quality of life program.
Oh,
We-
what do we get out of the towing?
Both of the towers give us about $65,000 a year.
There's two, of them, right?
Correct.
What we get, is it per car?
Yes.
Per tow, like,
Lisa, you work.
$50 bucks,
Lisa,
$50
that was Lisa's
Where they make
bailiwick.
out, Mel, is when they store the car,
You know.
they
that
get the,
that's them guys.
well, yeah, that's what they, you know,
This
they,
is-
How much is it?
we may get a part of the fee, but they get the, if it stays there a while, they,
Well, this brings up the
Pardon?
question,
Go ahead, Liz.
the question that Kaz had last week, how some of this 2019 year-to-date numbers changed when we got the new piece of paper. See, it says that, towing, year-to-date was 124,430, and now it says 107,510.
Those are the September numbers.
So it should be 9/31/19.
Yeah.
That's why I just like accuracy.
Should all
Being
these
an
be
accountant.
9/31/19 then?
I don't wanna bug you, Paul. Paul and I have a little.
You on your own time.
Well, because we did
Yeah.
ask about it last time.
Those
He
are
explained
in,
it to me.
the numbers that are in the book itself are the correct October numbers. When you look at the
That's this.
October, no, your October book that we post on SharePoint, those numbers are the numbers that are in the book. Yeah. These are, that first handout we gave you were 9/31.
Even though it says 10?
Yeah,
Wait a minute, so which one is 9/31, these ones?
those are 9/31, correct.
No, that's ten
be-
thirty-one.
Yeah, 10/31, 10/31
In
there.
the book is a ten thirty-one number. The handout's a 9/31.
The revised handout. Is that where the numbers got screwed up a little bit?
No, it would be 9/30. There's an 31. 30 days has a number.
Yay, now we're.
Or,
Knock on 9/29.
if you're doing it 9/31, then you're really in big trouble.
Paul, how are the quality of life ticketing revenue? How is that?
Well, they've collected over $3,000 so far.
That just started.
Maybe that's one, yeah, to have Andy come down. We
When
could
did
have
we
him
start?
come down.
Not the beginning of the year, right?
summertime.
We didn't start day one.
Trying to figure it out.
I don't remember
Well,
when.
it wasn't
We
day one,
started
though,
with the
right?
grass.
It wasn't the.
Yeah,
first
when
year.
it was April, May, it was spring,
June.
summer.
Yeah, we don't have a full year to actually.
That'll be on that ordinance sheet I give you.
No, I just was curious. We didn't
I
do it the
don't
whole year,
remember
though.
exactly.
We just didn't do it the whole
No,
year.
no, we did not, yes, to answer that question, we did not have that in place for the whole summer, for the whole 2019. So for those fees, the zoning fees, you know, we've averaged X amount over the last 4 or 5 years, so we use that. And the same with the admin, the real estate transfer tax, same thing, towing, there's been a history of the tows, so, historical numbers. Top of the second page, traffic fines, parking fines, state police fines, traffic court fines, parking and traffic court costs, and the district justice fines. Now, 2 or 3 of those, the parking fines, obviously, we have control of that, and council passed a new ordinance dealing with that last year. The state police fines, we really have no control over that whatsoever. That's whatever the state police issue in fines throughout the state. We get money back from the state police.
Oh, that's not in our area, Jim.
No, it's over the whole state, and we get money back based on the, liquid fuels, fee schedule. And Andrew's got the pages out. In the handout book, in the chart of accounts, those things are all kind of listed out, where they come from and which state act allows us to get that money. Traffic court costs, those are the traffic court fines.
That's the moving ones, right?
Yeah. The parking and traffic court costs, that's the quote-unquote boot fees that we collect from people that owe back parking tickets.
Oh. good
Yes.
question. Would it,
Questions and quick
would it
answers.
make, well, yes or no, would it make sense to hire somebody to boot cars?
Well, I think that's an interesting question, because I was talking to the police chief and 2 of the deputies this afternoon about that. And not to speak for the chief, but one of the things with, right now, we have 1 full-time boot officer, we have another officer that works, somebody that's on light duty, so you can see that, you know, we collected $46,000 in 2017, and that's the boot fee, the traffic and parking and traffic court, 92,000 last year. As of August, we'd already collected 88,000, call me 90. So we're on pace to really move that up. If we were to hire you or I, and this is why I don't want to speak for Chief Dan, but he will tell you that one of the big things about having a uniformed officer out there, as opposed to, you know,
A parking authority person.
parking authority person, a parking authority person, I mean.
Will not get any respect per se.
Right, and I'm not, you know, for the $10 an hour that they're paying up there, I'm not gonna go
I'm not
out.
going to repo car.
Right, I didn't want,
You know, really, they're taking their life in their hands.
correct, absolutely correct. And I mean, again, you meet with Dan, the first Wednesday of the, ask him about it. I mean, I wouldn't wanna send me and Kaz out to boot 7 cars this afternoon.
Besides that, how many booths do we officially own?
Oh, we own 15 or 20 boots.
Wow.
You
That
just,
doesn't seem like that much.
No.
That many.
well, it's
But
not
it
easy to
must
hunt
be-
everybody down all the time, and when your car gets booted, you pay that bill. So, again, I'm not trying to be negative about that issue, but to hire somebody other than a uniformed officer, I mean, guys
So
at
the same
repo.
uniform officer will go take the boot off after they come down here and pay the
Yes,
fine.
correct. I mean, Jimmy, you're in the auto industry, repo people are not me.
Thing is,
They're a
though-
little bigger than I
Thing is,
am.
though,
I mean, right?
the thing is, that officer's a lieutenant, though, I believe. Maybe he shouldn't be a lieutenant, you know?
Well,
Just saying, hey, I'm looking at the cost, okay?
But you do need someone to, that handles the situation.
yes.
But you're saying that a police officer who's getting paid less, it might be a,
Better alternative.
yeah,
I don't think so.
why? I mean, look at the allocation of
So
resources.
we have the lieutenant sitting at the desk versus
Lieutenants
having a
are supposed to
lieutenant
be
out
out
of
of
work. Ain't what he's supposed to be.
Well, yeah, that's what it is in the military. Lieutenants are.
You ain't in the military.
Yes, I am. I'm always in the military. I didn't abrogate my oath when I left there.
Kaz, I think
I
that's.
know why I
I
love
think
you.
that
why I
I
love
think
you.
gets to the question of, wouldn't it, again, I'm gonna say, wouldn't it be nice if people came in when they did their budgets and said, we looked at how we're operating and we decided that the new hires should
Patrolman on
be
instead of a
moving.
lieutenant.
Yeah, because,
Well, that
I mean,
person-
otherwise, is it an easy, fun thing to do booting, or is it more onerous? And it sounds to me like if you have a lieutenant doing it, it might be like, hey, I'm the booter, this is not a bad job.
Lieutenant's
I'm
supposed to be
just-
administrative in.
Well, he is, that person's also in charge of the,
Supervises.
supervises the traffic court office.
what I was gonna say,
The
it's not
people
just
that
the
are
boot
in,
guy.
yeah, he's not just out booting, he's in charge of the collections of the
He or
tickets
she.
too.
I did have
No,
a
it's a
question.
he
Tell
right
me
now.
the female
Right now.
officer.
Think of me as
It's a he right
PML.
now.
Think of me as PML government
Can't
staff,
remember off the top of my head.
okay? I'm looking at everything how it looks.
Less than 10.
Still, if I were a police officer, I would like to be called an officer, not he.
The parking,
That one
the
particular
gentleman
guy
who
is
does
he.
the boots is a guy,
Okay.
and so is the one who's assisting.
Correct.
But I'm still saying that when these ideas come up, it would be nice if we weren't the ones, because we are not the ones out there, but it would be nice if every department head was always thinking, how, am I deploying my resources, including personnel, in the best, most efficient way possible? And it would be nice to have somebody come in, that's why I like, when, Chuck Zist said, you know, he said, we're putting GPSs on the garbage trucks to make sure that we know where they are. That was initiative. It'd be nice to hear that from every department head. It'd be nice to have had back to the Parks and whatever, to have somebody come in and say, you know, with our Parks and Rec budget, we're doing something different. We know that Parks and Rec is an important part of your refocus. This is how we're gonna deploy our resources.
Not to overbeat the boot guy thing, because it is a guy this time. I think we minimize it by calling this individual the boot person. I think.
Right.
And so I think that's part of what that individual does, but I also know they have an office, that they oversee at least 2 staff in that office, and so there's some other responsibility. And I don't know, I'm not trying to defend it, I just know that the job is more than just a boot guy. So I think that's one thing to say.
Right, he's a
He's a
And with that
lieutenant
being
that
said,
has an,
That
admin-
department-
that has an administrative wing or assignment.
yes, he
to his
does,
job.
yes.
Right.
They
That's-
collected over $1 million this year. So he was
Can
in
we
charge
ask-
of,
Let me ask another question then, because I do think that this idea that maybe we have initiative, I would hope would come from the review of the Human Resources Department, where we just paid somebody to
doing
to
all
talk
that.
a little bit about that, because not everybody was there, so I don't think they know that that is being looked at.
Okay. JL Nick did the study. Jim Fiorenzo came in and made the presentation. We had sent out an invite. Liz, I think, was the only one that was able to make it. We can add that to the city council briefings that we schedule for next time. But there were a number of recommendations that came out of that dealt with performance reviews, having orientation for new supervisors, having orientation for new hires, just a lot of different process things related to human resources. And so the different departments that are responsible for the various recommendations that came out are now incorporating those recommendations into their long-range planning.
And I think what was important was that I got the impression that people felt like their ideas were listened to from the ground up. So I think that's where, you know, rather than us saying, well, the boot person should be doing this, if people feel like, and they know that no matter what we're doing here, and no matter how much new revenue sources we're looking at, every budget is gonna be a challenge. So we need everybody to be on board and to say, yeah, I like working for the city of Erie. I wanna make sure I still have a job, so here is what we could do in the future. And I think that the HR function shows so much promise, because it started with not imposing it on somebody, but saying, what are you lacking? And they wanted, well, you guys must have been there, you've been women, you know, you want training, you want updated IT, right? I mean, I wasn't there, they didn't talk to us because part-timers, but anyhow, okay. So I just wanted
You're
to, I
up.
just thought that was.
Okay.
You're
another
up,
thing.
Polly.
Next in line is the miscellaneous, which consists of our checking account and investment interest, the rents and royalties we collect from the cell phone towers, and the contributions we receive from various organizations.
What are special assessments?
If you have, there are some people and that have homeowners that have a line straight to the police department, and they pay a fee for that. There's a bar, yeah,
Alarm system's right to the police.
right to the police, yeah.
How do you get that?
You pay for it.
Yeah, you pay for it.
And do we, right, okay, so,
You do know that all the women's centers, you know, with
okay,
they
But
have
that's not
direct
a-
lines to the police department?
okay, you're talking about for domestic abuse.
Yeah.
Okay, but
So
are there,
a lot of bars have it too, because they want their system.
We're down to like one bar anymore.
Why, what do they do now? Go through agencies?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they probably got companies that do it now, so.
well, you know where the problem clubs are, should they be charged this? So they could have a direct line? How much does it cost to get a direct line?
Some of the homeowners, $500, $1,000, $500.
A lot of them are doing
How
it through
far
companies
back
now,
does it
though.
go?
A lot of them are going through like ADT and all that.
Right.
So there's other options now.
Well, in 2007, we got 6,400, and now it's down to, well, projected 2,000.
Correct.
What happened between 2000?
There were a couple bars that didn't want those lines anymore.
And I'm sure people have
Changed
went through
over.
the different,
Well, you can
security
put-
agencies, but
You can put it on your cell phone now and have it, you know.
Change in owner at bars. There was one over on French Street right over here that had right under the bar. If the bartender got into trouble, you hit the button. Yeah, I think there was one.
I mean, there's no special favors for homeowners who have this? I mean, are these people who live on South Shore or something, or?
That's what I was gonna say.
I'm just asking, it just,
I mean,
They do.
Who pays for it?
well, you would think that most of them would have regular security. I guess I just wanna make sure this isn't so
But
that,
see, Liz,
hey,
today,
I have pull.
today, when you watch people, they're all wired into ADT or one of the other
Right,
companies.
right, but I'm just
Or
asking.
Century,
is
so
there-
they don't.
they're
they
sitting
don't
on a
even
beach
think
in
about it.
Hawaii and turning their lights on and off at home.
And those companies, I guess, call the city.
All right.
So if your alarm goes, they call the police department.
Right.
Reimbursements, the CDBG, community policing, which is part of the CDBG, the sewer solicitor, crossing guards from the school district, pension salary from the pension fund, housing authority, central service from the sewer and refuse funds, municipal garage from the different people, different groups, different companies that use the municipal garage.
You think we'll reach that, 900,000 budgeted for
We're-
19?
Yes, just due to the billing cycle, winter time, more, November, December, more diesel, more
More
breakdown.
tire changes,
Yes,
more
more
all
tire,
that.
that stuff, yeah.
Hey, Paul,
Yes.
when I was at the COG meeting, it came up, we discussed it before about the garage.
Yes,
Yeah.
No chance of ever expanding the fire mechanics like.
meaning moving the fire mechanics down to the garage,
I
out
don't know
of
what
the
I
fire
heard was, a
department?
lot of the companies, the volunteers, they cost them a lot of money to go out of town.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought, did we ever look into expanding our operation?
I can't answer that.
Would it be, cause we do some.
We do, yes, and as you remember on
I
page.
just said, I know, they brought it up at the COG meeting and they said, they were talking about how they have to go to New York State with their fire trucks. Even though we
Even
have
some of
trade.
these ambulances too, I believe they go up.
Page 52 shows some of
We have to take
the
it down to
14,
Virginia sometime.
14 different organizations that the garage does work for. Kaz, I'm stuttering and stammering, I
No,
don't
that's
know.
okay, just
I
don't-
mean,
Put it this way, do they have the manpower to do more? I
No,
guess?
they have to hire more, they would probably have to hire more. That's what I'm saying.
That's something you'd have to ask
Would it ever
the
be worth it
chief.
to do it? Would it be worth it? That was the question.
I'm sure to be worth it.
Well, where would somebody from the COG go if they wanted?
Right
to
now,
actually
they
get
gotta
those
take their trucks like.
No, but I mean, who would they go to? Where would you send them, Kaz, the person? If a person
To-
at the COG asked the question.
Fire
where-
chief, that's under his department, right?
Yeah, so what, Kaz, you're proposing is the fire chief call Mill Creek and say, hey, Mill Creek volunteer, whether it be Kearsarge or Bell Valley or Westlake, if you need your truck fixed, we could fix it.
I asked the guys down there, the representatives,
Mm-hmm.
and they all said, they were told we don't have the manpower, So I said, just dawned on me, I said, could we make money at it, I don't know, maybe we can, just.
It'd be something to look into, I'm sure. I don't know if they're booked where they're behind.
Yeah, I don't know that
That could be
answer.
it too, we might be,
And I don't know
We
what
got a lot
type
of
of
2003s, that's all I can
Yeah, maybe we are
They're in
overburdened.
constant repair.
But it would be nice
But
to
we
know
wanna
that
make
there
money.
was at least a conduit for somebody if they raised that question, or did you raise it, Kaz? Did they?
Yeah, I asked them, they said they were told we didn't have the manpower, and for a couple of years, we were like overburdened. So my thought was, maybe we need to hire another mechanic or something, if we can make money at it. But that's a specialty field, Cause sometimes we have to take the trucks down to, we used to take them down to Roanoke with the company, cause that's the only place they could service them.
Part of it.
You and I will drive that truck down there next time.
The crossing
siren.
guards, are the crossing guards ours or the school
We'll
district?
take.
They're ours, and the school district reimburses us for that.
What, the crossing guard?
Crossing guards, correct.
In Count Meehan, is that the census?
No,
What is that?
no, that's the UPMC project that happened in East Bayfront.
Oh, that was one
Oh,
time.
okay.
Yeah, that's just a one-time.
Although they
That's-
got some more this year, right?
That's the 28,000 that, well, they gave us, that's the money that they gave us to hire Aaron Carey
Okay,
as the neighborhood planner.
and we're still gonna have Aaron in
Yes.
2020?
Yeah.
Paul, that reimbursement, is that going to the treasurer's office? Is that what that is? The collection tax reimbursement?
Yes,
That's her part of her salary.
well,
That's what it used to be.
yes. Yeah.
And the operation of.
In the operation
yeah.
of the department.
Quick question, I don't wanna lose the opportunity. Is there a appetite for the administration to talk to the police, the fire chief about this fire mechanic revenue generating possible opportunity, like, it would take a little research, I guess, but I don't know, is that something that,
We can ask.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, I know we have old trucks, but we also have talked about enhancing our capital budget to deal with some of that. If that's no longer an issue, hopefully, in the relatively near future, whatever near future is, there might be an opportunity to just, I mean, across Pittsburgh Avenue, we're generate revenue.
And you do, like, you know, there's just-in-time manufacturing, so what if there was just-in-time repairs, and you looked ahead and you said, you know what, we have a period where we don't have quite as much work, and you need us, we're here, I don't know, I mean.
And I
it's-
just
it's
got,
thinking new-
AJ's
new
gotta be
ways.
the one to know if they can handle.
No, they actually have 3 mechanics up at the fire building.
Yeah, it's separate.
Although they're probably overworked with our trucks, but something to look at. Cause we do service some of the authorities with the other garage.
Yes, yeah.
No, we do it through the municipal garage.
Same thing.
Yeah,
What's that, Chris?
if we haven't,
I was just saying, if, it would be the same model or similar model as a municipal garage.
Yes.
Outsourcing our services to provide for other groups.
Renee, do you know anything about the Port Authority and their plans? Are they going to be building down there soon or bringing us revenue by any chance?
I know that they, we met with them a couple of weeks ago. Actually, the Convention Center Authority is working with a potential developer for townhouses and apartments. Will give us revenue
The
on West
GAF?
Bayfront. No, it's not exactly GAF, it's behind the Marriott, like west of the Marriott, there's that property back there. That's the one.
Is that the one outside of the fence, kinda between there and the waterworks?
It's behind where the parking ramp is for the Marriott.
So that's not considered the GAF site?
No. If you pull in and you go to the Marriott, to the hotel, and you wrap around, there's like a circular drive. You would pull around, the drive would be extended to behind there.
That's Port
And there would
Authority
be a
then, right?
development back there, it's the Convention Center Authority.
I mean,
property.
where the townhouses are going, or is
Yeah.
that, well, not Port Authority.
No, not
So what revenue will we get from?
real estate tax.
The question,
And also if they
But
work
we
in
won't-
area and
Suppose they
live in
don't tie it
area,
in.
we get income
well,
tax.
this is
But we
the,
won't get
And
any,
building permits.
we don't get any real estate taxes for 10 years though, right?
Well, right,
but it's a gamble though.
But this is where I have said, how much is that property going to be assessed at before it's improved? Because I think we need to have an accurate assessment of, because they do have to pay property taxes on the land.
right.
So, did Kathy Rosdick get any answers from?
I know she reached out to Scott, I don't know if he got back.
You see how big that building is there? He put a nice addition on that. Talk about the oyster bar.
Oh, yeah.
Joe one wanted that taxed. Well, so I keep them straight, it's a lot easier.
And the last, the operating transfers,
Okay, so the oyster bar won't be taxed though, because it's still part of.
No, I think it will
Part
be
of the
taxed.
convention center?
They might try to, we'll have to be very diligent that they don't try.
Since the ruling came down from the judge or whatever, we have state legislators trying to, change that little, loophole that, convention centers.
no, I was gonna do it tonight.
They have not.
I'll arrange
They
the,
won't change that.
just bring your cash.
Because there's a lot of cities in the east that use it. I mean, just like us, they're, the same one's got a lot of hotels built like that.
Nice. That's general fund revenues. I don't know if anybody got a chance to look at, we posted the last 10 years, the revenue book on the SharePoint. It shows, you know, this was a good document we started working on years ago, and like the very first page, the real estate tax current, which fund it goes to, the fund name, the account number, the revenue description, the source of revenue, City of Erie tax on real property, the use of the revenue, general fund operations, fee schedule, a levy against the taxable value of non-exempt real property, annual millage. And a lot of the, when we're talking about the fees, a lot of the definitions of the fees, plumbing inspections and permits on new plumbing projects set by ordinance based upon flat rate, which I'll get you all those ordinances.
All those numbers.
Yes, contractor remits payment in time of permit application, frequency. So this is a lot of knowledge, a lot of information there.
Is our password for SharePoint, is it the same one as the,
We don't get you.
They got that.
how do I get into SharePoint? I mean, we get documents that the city clerk sends us to SharePoint, but if I just click on SharePoint,
No, picture. Hey, picture.
Same login that you have.
So I have a quick question.
Yes,
Is it,
no,
so
I
when
tried to log
when
in
we
last
raise
week
a,
and it was like it was taking
we generate
forever.
revenue
It does
via
take
tax, for
forever.
It does
example.
take
Takes
forever.
you-
Yes.
We can
Takes you all over
earmark
the place
those
for
funds
some
to
reason.
go
Okay, all right, I just thought, I got
certain
frustrated,
places,
it's like,
SharePoint.
right, depending on where it comes from.
Microsoft
Right.
Outlook and
like as a
Appropriation
you gotta
ordinance.
keep entering your.
special
Okay.
revenue fund,
Appropriation ordinance, it's called.
well,
Okay.
So if we wanted to, okay, so like this is probably not a good example, but maybe, the proposed $90 million coming in and $5 million going, to the city, to the.
For the budget, yes.
And then what is it, 1.7 or something?
for
going
Chris's
to-
loan fund, yes.
Right, so that was specifically,
Yes, yes.
so we can do that.
So what
other
Kat's saying
things.
appropriate, so if that deal's consummated, we get that money. Paul Wojtek will ACA, I can't believe he's gonna walk over with a
Well,
check.
don't we do that with
But-
debt? Don't we do that with debt, I mean, right now?
Yeah, yes, so,
We can't earmark or maybe earmark.
yes,
the right
we'll,
word.
there'll be, we'll appropriate the money and say, we're appropriating $90 million revenue, expenditures, $85 million debt service, $5 million here, or $3 million here, $2 million there, and then council will then say, yes, that's good.
But one of the things we do here, when we pass the general budget, there's a millage that gets put for debt reduction, right? Isn't it, Paul?
Yes,
So like if I always suggested if we had like a paving tax,
yes, so,
we could take like a mill out of the,
well, not to interrupt, I'm sorry, but what Kaz is talking about, every year, our millage rate is 11.65 mills per household, based on the assessed value of your property. What Kaz is saying is, in a given year, you'll approve two ordinances. One will be the budget itself, and then the second part of the ordinance is going to be the millage rate, which is then further broken down into general fund, and also then the debt service portion of it. What Kaz is proposing, which he's proposed for 15 years that I've known him, then you'll say, okay, instead of 11.65, it'll be 12.65, and it'll be 10 mills for general fund, 1.65 mills for debt service, and 1 mills for paving. So yes, that can be done absolutely through the budget ordinance, and then that money would go, when I pay my real estate taxes, some will be shot into the general fund account, and then we'll move some into the debt service, and then some would go, again, by ordinance into the capital fund, or if we wanted to do a special revenue fund, for whatever. So yeah, Kaz, yes, that absolutely can be done.
right, so I have a question about the water thing, and I am gonna tell you right now that I have a lot of questions about this, especially about the timing. I just wanna point out that we got the new proposal on a Thursday night, right? 11/14. Erie Mayor Schember Strapp's tax plan was in the paper on that Friday. Before that, we had the story on 11/11, Erie contacts firms for water system appraisal. So 11/11, we're gonna contact firms, including PFM's other arm, and then, 4 days later, now all of a sudden we're just going ahead with the Erie Water Works. I wanna know about the timing of this, and I wanna know when we can talk to PFM about this, because I think it's only fair, we paid PFM for its recommendation, which said that we should get these appraisals, and now we're jumping ahead with doing this without having the appraisals. I really wanna know what the politics of this is, what the timing is, and what PFM has to say, even though they have a dog in the show or whatever you
Huge
say.
dog in that show.
Yeah, so I'm not voting for this until I get,
PFM.
PFM,
Now,
our
Liz, can I
finance-
answer that? The PFM issue was getting an appraisal of the system in order to sell the system.
no,
But-
no, it said sell or lease, Paul, it did not say
No,
sell.
lease, we're not looking at leasing either.
We're already leasing.
We are leasing to them.
So
We're
then
going-
why did we get that recommendation, and why does the mayor say we're taking all the PFM recommendations seriously? I wanna know how we went from, we're going to do an appraisal, to 2 days later, we
were-
have, and I'm not, so
It was-
Renee, I'm
it
telling you
was-
right now, I'm not voting for this
No.
until I talk to
You
PFM.
can talk to PFM
And I want
anytime.
PFM to talk to all of us, okay?
Yeah, you can talk to PFM anytime, and we talk to them before we move forward
Uh-huh.
with this. But we had already been working on that, we were looking at doing the valuation in case of a sale.
Uh-huh.
We
Or
were also-
lease,
but we
because
were
that's what
also-
the recommendation
But we
was.
were also looking at the opportunity of having them prepay the lease.
Uh-huh.
And so it was
seems
a
to
timing
me-
issue, when
yeah.
the mayor wanted to bring the budget early, we were still working on that and didn't have an answer
Okay,
from the water.
and you're telling me there was nothing fishy about having a story in the paper and all of a sudden, boom, we have this $90
No,
million?
We were already working on it.
I don't believe that. I mean, I
Oh my
believe we're
goodness.
working on it, but I believe the timing, and I just don't understand why. I asked the question, we're gonna commit to taking this money, so what if then you do have to end up selling or leasing it? We've already gotten the upfront money. I
doesn't-
will not do this till I
It
talk to
doesn't, but we
PFM.
could
And I-
still sell, and they would have to make the water authority
I just
whole.
think that there was probably a lunch at the Erie Club or something where, or Wojciech called up, one Paul called up the other Paul and said, hey, I'm ready now to do this.
Were you
Was
involved,
there-
were you
were you
involved in those
involved?
negotiations?
You're involved in everything.
I've
We had
spoken to
already-
Paul many times,
Did you
yes.
speak to him between that story in the
we
newspaper
don't
and when
want
the
to.
agreement
We were
came
speaking
through?
to them before that.
Yeah,
I
long
asked
before that.
Paul if he did.
Oh,
Did I speak to
Yeah.
him last summer? Yes, I did.
No, in November.
I don't know the dating, the
Are
11th
there,
and the
if we had a
14th.
right to know request, would there be emails going back and forth all of a sudden?
No.
I
we were
do
working
know
on
that they
I think at this
because
point,
Yeah,
even,
Kathy goes,
It is mentioned at meetings that they talk.
and when
But
we
between
talked
the
long
time
ago.
When the story came out saying we were gonna get valuations,
They were talking like before that.
They
about the
started.
valuations?
It didn't specifically say evaluations, but
Valuations,
Paul and
not
Paul
evaluations.
talked back and
Yes,
forth, that I
absolutely.
know.
Okay.
And the thing about the valuations that you have to understand is the timing to get a valuation done is not something that can be done in like a week.
I
or-
understand that,
This is
so
a-
maybe we should be waiting till 2020 to do this. It seems to me that this was another way to say, hey, wait a minute, what happened to Curtis, he left?
you lucky dog.
We know that there's been conversation among city council members about our concern that we're still gonna be in the same fix next year with having to raise taxes or do something, because we already know that there's 5 million, then 9 million, blah, blah, blah.
And we're gonna float bond issues in the future.
Yes,
Left
we-
foot. I guess I'm just
Apologize.
saying, be prepared for very tough questions about this, and I think I would like to hear from Gordon Mann and Vivian about wearing their consulting hats in terms of their recommendations for us versus their other arm that was actually going to do evaluation. I mean, I just don't like
Yeah,
the timing.
I'll be honest with you, I'm not totally comfortable as it sits right now, you know, it's like one option and only one option. Would it be nice to see if there's, and I'm just gonna throw a idea out there, if we took 30 million and how that worked up front, where we're still getting a yearly
The bad
amount.
thing to that, if we only take half, and we
Okay,
take
half
half
is-
and put that down on, paid the debt service down. It'd be just like if you have a mortgage on your house and you pay half of the mortgage off today, you're still gonna have the rest of the mortgage, and you're gonna have to pay interest on that money. So the theory of taking all the money and paying all the money down is you're paying as much debt service, including interest down, as you possibly can right up front.
But you had no income for 42 years.
Correct.
That's
But-
like
but-
saying to me,
And
But
I
the-
got a lot of older residents that have just said, in all actuality, I'm not worried about debt service in 30 years. I'm worried about tax increases and fee increases and stuff right now and next year and the next 5 years. That's, I mean,
And
That-
Jim, when you were asking about that, about the 30 million, what I really liked about PFM, because I went last year to the special school board meeting where they presented, you know, the various options, and I know Vivian said, yes, this is one of the advantages of having us, hiring us as the consultant. They sat there with their spreadsheets and started plugging in numbers and said, if you raise taxes this much, if you, you know, cut privatize the janitorial services, it was instant. You could see it. You could see the numbers up there. And I would love to have them here and saying, if you take whatever, 30 million, this is how this changes it. If you take 60 million, this is how it changes it. Because the numbers can't lie. It was there. It was great. I mean, or if you raise, you know, property taxes 0.5 mils instead of 0.75, this is what you get. It was understandable. I mean, obviously the school board understood it, and they knew that they had different options, and we can understand it. That's what I want to know.
and to be honest with you, my feelings is, even though, yes, it looks like we could make something happen here, I just think trying to do it and fit it in this budget is too soon. I don't think everybody has enough information on what the ramifications can or cannot be, big picture, small picture, different options.
Maybe it involves talking to Wojciech also, and PFM. I mean, you know, have them come to a study
I
session.
mean, we don't even have there again, I know, this year we got 3.5, next year we're in line to get 3.8 million in a lease payment. In 10 years, I don't know if that's 4.2 or 4.5. In 20 years, what it equals, I mean, I don't think we have all those numbers
If
just
we
yet.
got you here, it would be in a public session.
That's a
Even
lot.
though nobody's here, people would say, we heard it from the horse's mouth.
The extra 10 years, right? What did we negotiate, at what rate?
They're going to give us the lease payment for each year.
Based on, I mean, the 10 year, okay, we.
Giving the $200,000
Okay,
extra
what would
per
our
year.
last year was gonna be what?
4.8 million, and then it'll go
In
to
the
5,
last
and then
year,
it'll go to
right?
5.2.
So
Correct.
now, the first year of the new extended lease,
Yes,
what were they gonna give us?
5 million. And then year 6 will be 5.2 million.
So at the end of the day, that 10 years, they got a better deal.
But again, yes, they got, no, they didn't get a better deal. They
Well,
got
if
an
you would've-
equal deal.
Huh?
They got an equal deal to where it is. It goes up, every 5 years it goes up $200,000.
Is that based on today's value, or,
That's based on today's dollars, yes.
which is,
That's not discounted back.
history will tell you, and I remember the last time Mayor Flippy did it. It caused a lot of consternation, because we did it again, we took upfront money, and, you know, so, that was only, I think, 10 years.
Kaz, that's why the
But 42 years, Paul, a lot of kids are gonna grow up in that time, get married, have kids, 42 years,
that's
okay?
why we're
No
gonna take the
revenue.
money and pay it down on the debt, so
I
that we can
understand,
lose
Paul,
the
but
interest.
we're gonna go into debt again, because what I haven't heard yet, and I'm gonna ask the administration, when the money runs out with the road paving, what are you gonna do?
We have time to figure that out.
Well, no, we wanna know now.
We're saving
Wait.
$6.2 million
Wait a
a
minute.
year.
Wait a minute, if I have to,
By paying down
if
the
you
debt.
want me to commit, I wanna know what your plan is initially. Are you gonna float another bond issue?
Plans are made
What we
to be
wanna
broken.
do is we
sir.
wanna raise.
Yes, but 42 years is not gonna be broken. That's
No, no,
gone.
no.
That's
No,
gone,
you
remember
don't-
that.
There ain't nobody sitting here know what the hell the interest rate gonna be in 42
Well, I
years,
know,
and
I'm
you
not
don't
willing-
give a damn.
I know
because
I'm
you
not
gonna be
willing to bet,
dead.
I know I'm not willing to bet on it, that's what I know I'm not. That's why I'm not comfortable with it. 42 years is a long time without going without any revenue.
Well, I think, if I can interject you for just a second, I think the bigger issue is sometimes, I don't always feel like, I don't want to feel like, or sound like I'm always trying to be like a conciliary, but the truth of the matter is that I have some of the same concerns, and some of those certain concerns can be alleviated with a little more information, as opposed, like Liz was saying, like varying degrees, Jenny said, varying degrees or tiers, like, because when you do this amount, it adjusts something over here. And we have some moving parts that we can kind of see and help make an informed decision. Just to say, take 90 million, we're gonna take 5 and do this, and 1.7 and do that, or not, that's kind of a big jump for us to swallow as electeds as well, because it's 4 decades plus that we are forfeiting revenue. And it sounds good up front, but there's a lot, and none of us, most of us will be either leaning or laid flat in 42 years, to be honest. You know what I mean? I'm younger, so I might be leaning. You might be leaning, bro. You might be leaning.
You'll be about 8 years old.
I'll be 80 and looking like,
I'm coming
hopefully
back.
good. But,
Mel and I will be blocking shots in heaven.
but seriously,
Comes
like,
back.
for us to sign on, sometimes, because you all do the work, it seems like you just did the work and then you can tell us what you think is the best thing. And then we see it and it's like, it kind of makes sense on some level, but how did you get there? For me, and I think for a lot of us, is we want to know how you got there and like what made you say yes to this amount and no to the tax increase. Because then we can kind of feel like we're in that process and we know some of the train of thought, to be honest. Because you're gonna say, okay, 90 million, that does some other stuff over here. And Jimmy says 30, that does some other stuff over here. You know what I mean? So why is it that 90 was better than 45? We don't
90's
know
better,
that.
in that, 90's better than 45, just because of the interest you're gonna pay.
I understand that.
You're gonna
but-
pay that interest, and that harms the budget itself, the long-term
Right.
revenue
And I don't-
versus
and I don't doubt
expenditures
that
of the
at all. I
budget.
don't think any of us would doubt that if we saw it.
You ran all
You know what I
that.
mean?
Yeah.
We looked at all of
You
it,
know.
we can just, do
That's
you
what I'm
want
saying.
paper
We
copies, or
we
what do you
may
want?
have to just, well, strictly have a conversation just on that topic and that topic alone. I mean,
A couple
It
council
isn't-
members and I talked about earlier this evening, it was like, we know they have it because they didn't just pop,
And I'll go
$90
back-
million.
I'll
So
go
we
back
don't know
to
what that is.
Can we put,
And you're the
citizens
youngest
again,
person
who are
here.
gonna say
Do you
the
live in Erie?
water authority is gonna give the city 90 million, so
You
that
don't live
means
in-
our water bill is gonna get
Yeah,
bumped
it's
up.
not-
It's,
All right, so,
We
But
can
it
save
could
it.
now.
They, we
It
have,
could now, though.
it definitely will. I'm telling you, they definitely will.
I mean,
They
you gotta
definitely
understand
will.
what I hear. I'm not,
They will, I mean, if they're not gonna lose money, okay?
who's not?
Water authority. They're gonna raise rates. We
We're
know
working
that.
on that.
I mean,
right,
why are we
so-
even talking about it?
Jim, what are we doing at the next study session, which is gonna be in place of,
I'm-
along with the finance committee meeting after the December 4th meeting, correct?
we were going to try here, but we had the,
Gotta come from somewhere.
We have one on December 2nd also? I know we have one December 5th.
Well, mother did.
December 5th was when we have that Burley
Yeah, 'cause
thing.
that's
Oh,
the
that's
regular.
the fifth.
So we still have, but we have a study session we
December
wanted to
4th
have.
is
Wednesday,
Why
after the
don't-
council, we're gonna do
December
general
4th
government.
was gonna be the
And
row
the water
offices.
stuff
Row
again,
offices.
we have
I
Wojciech
think we
and-
still gotta finish the budget book itself.
Yeah, we're gonna do, after the after the
meeting.
council meeting next Wednesday, we're gonna do general government and also
Row offices?
row offices. And then we've hit
that
every,
normally does,
then we've hit every department in the book. Then after that, we can start wherever, moving on, talking about these things. Just as you asked about the debt and the pensions and these things all in the budget, if you've had a chance to look at the book, just the roll-up between the book that was given to you a couple weeks ago, and then that's not the handout you got, this is Don Betker's handout, but the handout you got, you'll see that there's there's like 4 changes, but those are all the major changes. We're dealing
But
with the,
we're seeing we might not wanna do those
okay, that's
changes.
on the pension assumptions.
I think, I'm talking about the water specifically.
Well,
Yeah,
this,
and-
this
yeah.
all ties in, I believe.
That it all ties in together. The pension assumptions, and based on the pension assumptions, that changes the income tax and the special levy rate. The
I don't
water,
think everybody realizes.
yeah,
Well,
the
we can't have
water.
the levy without the changing the assumption.
Correct. The water deal takes care of the debt service in the, that in the expenditure roll-up. Doing the deal with the water authority gets us the money to pay down the debt for the next 30 years. The variables, there's really only like 3 or 4 variables, and I know you've asked about, do we need to go all the way with the pension assumptions? And
Because it's such a big jump.
right, the bigger the jump we take, the less negative we are in the budget itself. Because going from, again, 1983 tables and 8% interest to only the 2000 tables and the 2014 tables, that only gives you a little bit of a ability to tax. So we can only raise the tax a little bit, and because
The special levy tax.
the special levy tax, and 60% of that special levy tax comes from outside the city, and 40% of it we're already collecting. So the higher we go in that ability to tax, which means the lower we go in
The assumption rate?
the assumption rates, the more we can tax, the more we can get from people that don't live inside the city. So
But I guess with that being said, what is that dollar amount equal between going from 83 to 2000 to 2014, or what is that? What's the ramification?
That was months of work.
Huh?
That was
We'll
months
get
of
that for
work,
you.
Looking at all those different scenarios.
Well, but for us to
Well, the actual
vote on
never
something or
went
try
as low
to,
as you guys.
try to, no, Jim, I understand, and I don't think tonight, right
So we
now,
could get up to 1.65.
No, but I mean, when we
is, I
first
mean,
talked,
the time of it, that's a
little bit
meeting
higher.
in and of itself.
we were gonna go
Correct.
down on the assumption.
yeah,
not
we
that
could,
far.
But can I also point out, Mel when are you going for your surgery?
brain surgery.
Based on the night, I'm going tomorrow morning. I gotta go over on the 4th and do a whole bunch of pre-tests.
So Mel's not gonna be
So the
here
4th
on-
and the 5th,
Yeah.
and probably 6th, I got 2 days. So I'll be in the hospital 5th and 6th, come back on the 7th.
We'll give him some headphones.
No, just
Is
so
there
you
under?
know that he's not gonna be here, but can we talk to Gordon Mann or Vivian, maybe by conference call, or have them, one of them come in here?
I'll call
But
him.
I think we also need to talk to Paul, I think we need Wojciech in here, so we can talk to him about what this means for water customers. I mean, Kathy's the liaison, but I would like to hear from him what this means, at least even a short-term projection. Because-
Question though is, but is for him to be here during the budget, our budget session, I think that's a good thing. I
Well,
mean, we can meet with him at any time.
No, yeah, but I am not voting on this until I know what it means
I didn't-
about, for
you
water
made that
rates and what
clear.
it means in terms of the valuation.
understand.
So those are two, I'm just telling you, you may have, I'm just telling somebody else, you need 4 votes to pass. You might not be here,
I'll be on the phone.
okay.
Well, the
I'm
ra-
just giving a heads up to the administration that,
Understood.
as it is right now, I'm not voting for this until I get those answers.
This-
Yeah,
the
I don't think
rates-
anybody's
The
ready to-
rates are net
Our vote,
revenue
yes.
neutral, they're only going,
I'll fill in for you.
they owe us
Lower the-
$130 million. They're gonna take, time value of money discounted back, it's 90 million. So they're gonna take a bond out so that they can pay that, which means that they won't have to make their lease payment for the next 30 years. So it's revenue neutral to them. Expenditure neutral to
I
them.
Where am I
know,
getting
but I still
42?
think that I think that we as elected representatives need to hear that from the head of the water authority, and the public needs to hear that. Because otherwise, we're gonna be out there and saying, well, when we're sitting around a table at a study session to which only one person who looked like he maybe could have caused a lot of trouble was here to listen to part of it, told us this, and there's nobody from the public hearing this. We need to be able,
They're watching.
And the same thing happened though with the water authority. They had a meeting, they had a public session, and nobody was at it during the lunch hour time. And so that's sort of the
Nobody goes to lunch.
way of the world though. People aren't going
did-
to these
did
things.
people know that there
I'm
was a
sure it
new-
was in the paper because it had to have been, it's a public thing.
Aren't there meetings usually at 3 o'clock in
usually
the
at night.
afternoon, though?
They changed them for a while, they're going to change them back again.
Did anybody else know that?
They thought people
What's that?
would go
That the
to
water
it
authority
because
meets
it's
at
on
noon?
lunchtime.
Did anybody know that?
I get on my calendar, but I
Yeah,
don't look
they
at it.
emailed us.
I mean, Kathy's the
Kaz
liaison.
wasn't on the hotline, it's the
Paul,
water authority.
when Curtis and I got, wanna know, when do we discuss these fee increases?
What fee increases?
Well, the ones we mentioned
Oh, the
tonight.
ones-
That would be when we have that, the deliberation, like the
Yeah,
first
I
hour.
mean,
How
So
about
just
if I
after
type
the
a
roll-up.
note?
Okay.
Oh,
We can
God.
start, yeah.
At the end of the-
We're gonna do that
I
general
suggest
government of the
we-
light next Wednesday, and
I'll
then
do it
schedule
before
a couple
next
of
week.
meetings after that, and we'll talk
We make
about
some
all this stuff.
resolutions and put it on record.
Yeah,
I think I have
I
everybody.
like everything on record.
Email.
That's not good. Come back to lunch.
that
I only wrote one
is it
memo,
for
but
general fund revenues.
That's gonna be hard to find.
Hey, Jim, make sure they have lunch.
When's the next water?
Right, so we walking out.
Next meeting,
We walking out.
No, it's
Yes.
not till
Yes.
Wednesday, right?
December.
How much of a property tax increase
What,
do
the
we need if
third?
we don't do the?
Like
water
3/4 of a
department?
mil.
Thursday in December.
That would cover
Yeah.
5 million, 5+ million?
People
And that
were-
would, that
People were
would,
okay with that. They griped a little
without
bit,
the,
but
without doing the water deal
Oh, yeah.
for this
I got
year, that's pretty much the budget book that's here. So we're looking at a 3/4 of a mil property tax.
you know what they're griping about?
Not the handout sheets,
Yeah, believe it or
the
not.
You
book,
need
So
gripes
how
now?
much would that be per?
You know what
$75.
they're griping to me about? The backdoor tax.
Yeah, on a $100,000 home,
Sewer and refuse?
Yeah,
as
they-
much as Andrew's got in his
You know,
pocket
Go up
right now.
every year.
You're never, no, we didn't know he's doing that.
I know, I'm saying costs go up every year.
Yes, and we passed them on and we didn't do anything.
Right,
But,
which is why we're at where we're
so,
at.
I mean, what I learned in this business, they'll argue with you about one thing, and then you take that away and they'll argue about the other thing. They go, you know, and they still argue me about, why do I gotta pay 25 or 30 bucks?
I think we ought to meet in
administrative?
Cleveland. That's what we,
Yeah, okay.
They argue all the time. Like,
we drive to
It is
Cleveland.
what it
If
is.
it was a meeting.
When my, hey,
That's what,
they,
you know,
when
we
my
have to
dad
pay
was
that
at
fee.
Johns Hopkins many years ago for surgery.
That's right.
We all went there and we had a picnic in
People
like
always
the
complain.
courtyard there.
Uh-huh.
And Dad's like,
Nobody's gonna be
"Is
perfectly
Death
happy.
Watch or something?"
Besides the
fun.
fees
Come
and
on
stuff,
over.
is there anything else anybody wants between, I mean, we're not gonna get together again for 9 days.
Oh, boy.
I'm gonna call you.
Next
We'll probably
Wednesday,
call you, Paul.
Moving parts
that's our council
Keep
meeting,
your
Paul?
phone ready, Paul.
is
Council meeting
this.
good?
See to my mother. She
Yeah.
knows. Okay. If she doesn't pay the income tax, she don't pay the real estate. But she's griping about it. And then, that's what I'm saying, you know, you'll get them both ways.
Right, but you said, I mean, you can't listen to every.
You said no.
Actually, maybe in Pennsylvania.
You're right there.
Just serve.
You know what, let me tell you this, when I was on we could. I mean, we had no, no, we weren't under any limit like this. We could go past it. You know what happened?
But he's gonna recommend that they give more money.
There's only way to bridge that.
Well, everybody have a nice holiday.
Okay, you too.
We did it. You know, it's,
A lot of money on it. Like what, 500?